Stacy. Welcome to Stacy's Homestead, and today we're going to be all about cast iron. So I brought out most of my cast iron skillets to show you guys how to maintain them, what to do, and all that jazz. So I have these. I have two that were my grandma's, and then this one, so these are my oldest ones, and then I have a couple older ones in my camping gear, because it's always good to have a cast iron skillet for camping. And then this one is a few years old, and it's Utopia Kitchen on Amazon. It's a good brand. So, I mean, and they're really decent pricing. And then I got this one, is a big skillet. I wanted to get a bigger one. So this is a 15-inch one, and this is an Amazon Basic. You know, this one, it has a different style that I'm used to, but it looks good, and it was a decent price. It was only $39. And so, I don't know, but I needed a bigger skillet. So the style of the handle is a little bit different than what I'm used to. Usually they're wider, like this way, and it's thicker. So, but it looks like a good one. And so a new cast iron skillet, you can see, they seem to have like bumps all over the bottom, and that's all of them do, but it's going to end up getting flat and smooth and shiny as we cook with it and take care of it. So I probably would never ever buy another Amazon Basic one, just because I don't like the handle on it, and the fact that on the bottom it says Amazon Basics. I don't know. So the Utopia one I actually like better, even though you probably need to season it. They always say they come seasoned, but they don't. So this is my Utopia one, 2.5 inches. And I really like this one. The handle's like the old ones. See? The handle's just like the old ones. And this one, I mean, it's so old. So old. This is my grandma's. She gave me her smaller ones that she didn't use all that often anymore. And so, I think it's called Griswold. That's the brand of this one. And this one has no, it's just covered up. This one doesn't even, you can't even see it, but it's dirty because I'm showing you how to clean them. So, okay. Now this one, I've had this Utopia one, I've had for a couple years, and it's still being broken in. It takes a while to break these in. I don't cook with it as often as I cook with the smaller ones. So, that's why it takes a little bit longer. But, so what you do, so this one I cleaned and cooked, I had gravy in it, okay? So you don't want to cook anything with liquids in your cast iron, like boiling things for long periods of time, because it takes off your seasoning, it's called, okay? And you can cook anything else in it. You can do anything cast iron, just don't cook liquids and soups and things or beans that you need to boil for a very long time. Alright, so let's start off showing you from the beginning, huh? Oh, this one's cooking. We'll get to this one right here. Okay, we'll get to from when you cook, okay? So this has grease in it, and you don't want to wash your cast iron skillet with any soap or detergents, okay? You actually just want to wipe them clean with a lint-free rag. I like to use old t-shirts, or some people do bandanas or handkerchiefs. And then, but I tend to use, because I'm not seasoning, I'm just cleaning up the mess, a paper towel. So, this, I just fried some sausage in it, okay? And that's what it looks like. And then, we're not going to wash this, we're not going to get it wet or anything, because it's pretty decently clean. You can, if anything, take a spatula. And on tough stuff, they say not to use metal, but I'll use metal on tough things. So just take the spatula and go like that. If you have like little spots on there, just go like that. And it's good to do it right if it's still hot. It's the best way, right when you're done cooking, is to just clean it up real fast. Take your paper towel, wipe your spatula. Then your pan should still be warm when you're doing this. It's just easier to clean. Don't wait and have it dry on, because then when that happens, you do need to put a little bit, heat your skillet up and put warm water in and kind of like steam it off, you know, just a little bit of water, and then heat it and steam it off. Reheat it and do that. So this is, let's pretend this is warm. You just got done cooking, and you got a little bit of spots in there, and you just scrape that up. Okay. Then you take your paper towel and you wipe it. Wipe it up real good. See? You wipe up your skillet real good. And I do paper towel because it's not cheap paper towels. These don't really leave lint. You don't want really linty paper towels. You'll have a bunch of lint left behind, but these are good paper towels that you don't see any lint. There's no lint left behind. And we're not seasoning it. We're just cleaning it up. See how shiny that is now? This is how you wash your stuff after cooking. This is the last of it. Now I cooked oil in this, so it has its own oil, and I use this a lot. So I just did sausage, so it's nice and so it kind of, you re-seasoned it already because you were cooking with oil, and it has oil in it, so you're nice and good to go there. So that just looks nice and pretty now. Now if I wasn't cooking with anything with oil and it needed oil, then you would add a little bit of olive oil, and this is called re-seasoning. Make sure your pot is hot or warm. I'll even do it when it's cold sometimes, and just do a nice thin layer of oil on there. Want it nice and shiny, but not too much oil, just a little slick. And then you put it up, and you're ready to rock and roll. Now here's another one. It's more, it doesn't have any oil. Okay, this one has no oil, and I did eggs in it this morning, and the eggs kind of stuck. So, and this is a dry pan, so it's not hot anymore. And you just, because sometimes I get going when I make eggs and I don't clean it when it's hot. Just take your spatula. So let's say it's the next day. I made eggs yesterday, didn't clean my pan. It's the next day. You just take your spatula, you scrape off what you can, do the edges. Get a paper towel and then just wipe it out. Just wipe it out real good. Wipe it out real good. See? Wipe it out real good. And if you need to season it real fast before, you know, this is old, so this is like 50 years of seasoning already built up on it. So these are pretty good to rock and roll. So I never really have to re-season them often because I cook a lot with oils. But that's clean. That's really nice and clean. But if you have to re-season it, go ahead and do so. Just warm up your pan, wipe your oil in, and then you have a nice seasoning going for your cooking. And when you cook with cast iron, make sure it's nice and hot and like almost to smoking before you add your food in, and it won't stick. Nothing sticks on these if you cook it hot. You can't put anything cold in and then bring it to heat, because then it's going to stick. So there's that one. Alright, so these are my newer ones. This is a newer one. It's still not quite where I can wipe it out like the other ones. I wiped this out. This had gravy in it. Okay, so to clean the gravy off, I had to steam clean it. Now when you steam clean, your pan is still hot. You add a bit of water and it steams it, and when you go like this, clean it all real good, then dump the hot water out. It's only like a little bit of water, okay? Dump the hot water out, and then you wipe it with a paper towel. Now, really good, and see, so this is kind of dull now because you steam cleaned it and it needs to be reseasoned. Now, when you reseason things, you have to get it really hot. Yeah, and then once you get your pan really hot, like smoking, almost smoking hot, then you would take a rag, put a little bit of oil on that rag, and wipe it around really good while it's still hot. Turn your heat off, and while it's still hot, sometimes you want to do the outside too, and then get the excess oil off, and then you're good. And it's good to store away. But you want to reseason it every time you use these. Every single time you use them, you want to put oil on it again. Now when you do wash with water, ever, if you use a wet rag or any kind of water on these, you don't air dry. You never air dry, and you never you can't air dry these. They rust. They will rust, and a rusted pan is not a ruined pan though. I'll show you how to fix that. But you don't want it to rust, so what you do is every single time you use any type of water to wash, put it on the stove, turn your heat on, and you cook it out. Well, I'll just show you right now, okay? Okay, so I got it wet. I got it wet inside. See, there's water inside. We're gonna dry it off as best you can with a towel, if you want. But if you don't want to dry it off with a towel, you want to cook it off. So you put it right here. I'm going to dry it off with a towel, and then we're going to cook off that water. Let's cook off this water right here. I'll bring you closer here. Alright, so the water's almost gone. See? You want to heat it up until all the pores are dry. Okay? And now it's a good time to reseason because the pan's hot. So we cooked the water out, okay? Dry that water out. You can dry it up with a hand towel, but you gotta dry it really, really, really good. So I always cook mine out. I don't really ever dry it with a hand towel. I always just, as soon as I'm done cooking or washing with any water, ever, I put it on the stove and I heat it up, dry it out, and now it's perfect temperature for reseasoning. So we're gonna put a little bit of oil in. There we go. And then when you reseason, you want to use an old t-shirt, something that's lint free, not a paper towel. And then you wipe it around. While your pot's really hot. Wipe it real good. Get all the excess oil off. You don't want to leave a bunch of oil on. So there we go. Now this is reseasoned. Sometimes you might want to do the outside also, especially if the outside you got wet. Sometimes I just do that. There. And now that's nice and pretty. Nice and pretty now, see? Nice and shiny and pretty. And then you just put it up, store it away. for the next use. It's ready to go. So we got 3 pans now cleaned up and ready to go. This one I'll just go like that. Yeah, these are all good to go. Now I'll show you this. This I have a little bit of rust on. I was storing it in my oven and somehow it got like moisture on it or something. Probably steam I didn't know about or something, but there's a tiny bit of rust and we're going to get rid of that. I'll show you. It's really easy. Okay. Now I'm going to just spot clean that. So I'm going to take a little bit of salt. I'm going to get a little bit of salt. Plus this one's relatively, this is a few years old, so you gotta really take care of them and season them after every use. Put a little bit of salt on there. Okay. We got a little bit of salt on there. And then we're gonna just rub our little bit of steel wool on, only on the rusted spots, okay? With that salt. We got a few little rusted spots right there. Just get in it with the salt. Alright. So we got that real good. Okay? Now we're gonna wash it out a little bit. Wash it out a bit. Okay? You still see the red spots. They're not gonna go away. You're just buffering it up real good. Okay, now you're gonna go, you washed it with water, right? You rinsed it out, you did a little bit of water. Oh, and you could do water and a sponge, but I mean, it still got wet. So you gotta cook it out. And I mean, you can do it with a towel, but it's just safer to cook it out. But we gotta reseason this now. It still has a little bit of rust spots on it, but we scrubbed it with salt and a steel wool, roughed up that rust spots up, right? Get those rust spots out, and we're gonna heat it up because we gotta dry it out now. Dry it out real good. And if you steam clean, it would be the same thing. But you put like an inch of water in, and then you would just scrub it like that, dump it, dry it out on your stove, and then while the pan's hot, you reseason it. So this one, remember, had eggs in. And this is old. This is pretty good seasoned. I cooked with oil. So I always cook them with fat and oils. Usually bacon grease or tallow or butter. Now if you're cooking every day with those, that's fine to season with those because you're cooking every day. But if you're just cooking with like the big skillets once in a while, you don't want to season with lard and stuff like that because it might go rancid because you're barely cooking in it. So do olive oil or different oil. Alright, so this is pretty hot and the water's all gone. Let's turn it off. The handles get hot, so make sure with cast iron you have an oven mitt nearby so you can handle that. So let's bring it over here and I'll show you. I'll hold it with two hands here. Show you. I'm not sure if you can see the rust spots. They're still there a bit, okay? Because we have to season it to get rid of it, okay? But pretty much we cleaned off all the excess rust off there. Let's go ahead and pour some water, pour some oil on there. And just a little bit of oil, not a lot. Tiny bit of oil. And sometimes I think maybe I got rust spot on there because I might have wiped it down with a towel instead of cooking it out. And with these grooves, it's hard to get every single bit of moisture out. So it's better to, especially with these ones, to cook it out. So you want your pan like smoking hot when you do this. Alright. There you go. And now you don't see any rust spots. Let me bring it and show you. And as long as you keep doing that, every single time you use it, it won't ever rust again. Okay? See, no more rust. It's gone. And you just make sure every time you ever get it wet, you dry it out really, really hot and re-season it every single time. This is my deep fryer, okay? Cast iron is really good to deep fry in it. So this is what I cook French fries and my chicken in, my fried chicken in. See, it's nice inside. And anything with a lid, you also want to season the lid. That way you don't get rust spots on your lid. So, but see the outside? I'm not sure if you can see, but the outside has a little bit of moisture rust spots appearing. We're going to get rid of those. See? Just, I think there's condensation in my oven, so we're just going to, again, get rid of that. Just rough it up, just in those spots only with some steel wool and like salt too. You can do salt. Make sure you rough it up real good. You want to get that off. Take a damp towel, because it's a lid, and we're gonna wipe it up with a nice damp towel. Okay, now we're gonna heat the lid up, same as we did with this one. I try not to stack my cast iron because I don't want it to scratch my finish. Alright, so let's take the lid, and we're also gonna heat that lid up. And so I even got a little bit right here. I haven't used this in a while. I just stored it in my oven and discovered that. So just rub it a bit. Get a little bit of damp towel. Sometimes it'll come off with just that. Yeah, this was not so bad. And then put a little bit of oil on it. This is a hot rag with hot oil. Let's see. Even just doing that temporarily without cooking it, it's gone now. See? And then we'll wipe down the sides with the nice warm. This rag's still warm from seasoning the other one. Just go wipe down the sides real fast. Okay, and now, because it's the outside, I don't want to, it's easier for me to do it before it gets hot this way. Alright, so now we're going to heat that one up. This one's nice and ready to be heated up. We got oil all around the outside. Okay, so this right here, and this is hot now. So it's real hot now. Take a little bit of oil and rub it down. We're seasoning the lid on the outside again. I gotta get a new oven. So I haven't used my oven in a long time, so I think maybe some condensation got in there. I store a lot of my cast iron in my oven. Alright, so I'll show you the lid. And hey, if your rag's wet and with oil, don't be going next to your flame Make sure you turn your flame off before you go like that, you catch your rag on fire. So I turn my flame off, and now I'm going to go around the edges and wipe it. That would be horrible. You got to be smart too. You know, don't go putting on the outside oil when you have your flames on. Alright, and that's good. I'll show you the lid real fast. See those rust spots? They're pretty much gone, and you just keep on reseasoning it. Yeah, they're all gone. You just see spots, not red spots, you see spots where they were, because we scrubbed off the seasoning on those spots, so that's why it's lighter. But we just keep on reseasoning it every time we use it, okay? And then you won't be able to tell a difference. Alright, I'll put that to the side over here. And now I have my brand new one. And brand new ones, they said, this is the Amazon basic one. I could have spent more and got a different brand. There's only 2 brands and 15 inches. And I mean, this will do. It's perfect. It's beautiful, actually. It's nice cast iron. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't really match the style of all my old ones. This part's shorter. It just doesn't match the style for me. It just looks a little bit more modern cast iron, I guess you could say. But I'm going to keep it because, I mean, it's a good cast iron. And so, it's okay to have something different. I guess they all don't have to match perfectly. So, so we're going to, it says it comes seasoned, but you want to season it. You always just do. So, you could put this in your oven and heat it up thoroughly before you apply your oil, or do it on the stove. My oven's broke. I only have a toaster oven, and this is bigger than a toaster oven, so I'm going to do it on the stove. But if you do it in the oven, you can season the outside and the inside a lot easier. But I'm going to do it on the stove because my oven's not working. I heat this up, and you want to heat it up till your pan is nice and smoking hot. Alright. Oh, also, if it's hot, leave it sideways for vent. You want it to vent, or you're going to end up with moisture on the inside. You don't want that. So let it vent with anything with a lid. Because it's new, I want to wash it out of it. So I'm going to get a rag. Get my rag all wet. And we're going to wipe the inside, kind of wash it up a bit. See how it's steaming? Getting nice and steamy. Alright. It's getting almost hot. These things heat up really fast. And I love cast iron. Cast iron is the best. Oh, here's a pizza one. I just have it on my toaster oven. This is my pizza one. And of course, my husband, so I just set it on my toaster oven for storage. And of course, on this one, look at, he just put something probably wet, and it just barely sat on there. That's what happens. You just get little rust spots when that happens. And it's just, because I don't make pizza all that often, I didn't catch it. So while that's heating up for its first seasoning, where I'm gonna rough that up, put a little salt on it. Put a little salt on that. Oh, glad I looked at that. I'm gonna catch those things. See, if you're not the only one cooking with your stuff, you're not the only one cooking with your stuff. You gotta also watch it. You know, other people's not gonna take care of it as you would, like you would. And they don't know that. I mean, my husband probably doesn't know you can't put wet spatula on. So, and then we're gonna rinse this off. Interesting is this has a little bit of stickiness to it. So sometimes you use too much oil, it gets like sticky. And I probably seasoned it and put too much oil on it. So to get that stickiness off and to re-season it, I'm going to steam it with water in it. So I'm going to put it aside. And then after we season that, we're going to steam this. Alright, so this is nice and hot. Okay? Now we can I'd like to turn it off, the heat off when I do it. We're going to add our oil. Just a little bit of oil, you don't need a lot. And use your rag. I'm frying up my stuff here. Use your rag and just wipe it real good all the way around with your oil. While your pan's hot, get around the edges, every little nook and cranny. Okay, now I'm going to turn the heat back on and just let it get smoky. So I did that, now we're going to let it get smoky. And then we're going to turn it off and then we'll be done. So this is the first time seasoning for this. So on this one, see, eventually the bottoms get like flat and shiny. They come like bumpy. It's interesting. And then the bottoms, the more you season it, it'll get flatter and flatter. But, so really well seasoned well ones, really well seasoned, that's how it goes. You get a good seasoning on it and they wipe clean super easy. Like the eggs and everything just wipes real clean and you're good to go. And that's your goal, so not have to use water and stuff. Now you want to try not to add super cold water to hot pans. I mean, because you don't want to warp them. But cast iron is pretty resilient, and I've done it plenty times, and it hasn't done anything yet. But I don't do it often, so I don't add like super cold. Just like room temperature water is fine, just not cold water. Don't be submerging your pan in ice water or anything. Room temperature water, just a little bit is fine. But don't submerge it in it, it'll warp it. Alright, so it's steaming. See? It's nice and steamy. Let's do that for a good 5 minutes or so. Turn it off. Get a little bit of oil again on my rag while it's still hot. Just a little bit more. I just put a little bit more oil on it. Just dabbed it. I'm going to go around again. Just wipe it real good. With a lint-free towel, not a paper towel. You can use paper towels to clean it out, you know, but not to season. There we go. And that's nice and good to go. That's good to rock and roll for the first cooking. Okay, so I'm going to put this in my oven out of the way because it's big. So now we got our pizza pan here. It's a little rusty and sticky. We're going to cook that. We're going to steam clean this. Got some sticky oil on here. It's like I could probably use too much oil or butter or different type of oil that they just got too sticky. Okay, we're gonna steam that stickiness off here. Okay, and we're gonna get that rust off. See, a little bit of water. Just steam clean that. Alright, so I'm going to take this rag and go around the edges because it's like a spoon here, like a bowl. And go around the edges and get that stickiness off with the rag. Hold it. We're going to try to get that stickiness off here. Yeah, so that's way better. It's not sticky anymore. It's not sticky anymore. If it's still sticky, do it again. But now I'm drying my pan out. See? Now I'm drying it out. And then we're gonna redo it with new oil. You see, there's still the rust spots. They're not gonna go away until you seal it, and then they'll get cooked away. Alright, now it's steaming. Turn it off. Put a tiny bit of oil on. Olive oil is good. Avocado's oil is good. Any oil. I'm not going to do animal fats on this because that's what I probably did, and I haven't used it in a while. And now, because I haven't used it, it got sticky. Alright. So we want to rub it really good where it was sticky and where the rust spots appeared. And like I said, you're still going to see spots where the rust was. But now it's coated, and rust needs oxygen to live. So by coating it with oil, you're suffocating it. And it's going to kill it. So rust can't live without oxygen, you know? So then we're going to turn our heat back on and heat it up again. Alright, so it's been cooking up. Put just a little bit of oil on your rag again. Go like that, a little bit of oil, and just go over it one more time. After you heat it up again, one more time. Rub it in there real good. Alright, y'all, so that's how you take care of cast iron. I hope that made sense to you. So the basic rules are, you don't cook with water, like boiling, like noodles or soups or beans, okay? Anything else you can cook with it. You know, things with moisture that's not going to stay in there for hours, right? And then when you clean it, you wipe it clean. If it doesn't wipe clean, use a little bit of water. Don't use detergent. And make sure every time you dry it out on the stove or really, really well with a towel. But the stove is your best bet. You can't air dry these things. They will rust. So, and you season them every time you get it wet. Every single time you get it wet. And every single time you use it, you got to season it just a little bit. So. And then that's it. That's how you then get rid of little rust spots. You just catch them, scrub it out with some salt. Steel wool only. You never use steel wool on these because it just will scratch it up. But only on little spots as needed. It's good to use spatula. Sometimes I'll use my metal spatula to scrape hard spots too, and then wipe it clean with a paper towel. You never have to wash these things. You wipe it clean with a paper towel if you season them right. And there's also health benefits to using cast iron. So your body absorbs the iron. If you have like an iron deficiency, cook with cast iron and you won't ever have an iron deficiency. So it's a mineral that your body needs, and it's a good thing to cook with. That way you always have iron. Okie dokie, y'all. So that's all about cast iron. So don't forget to subscribe, and we'll just talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.